I want to start us off talking about some new capabilities that we're launching to make it easier to work with other file formats when you're using doc sheets and slides. Now, we know that Microsoft Office isn't going away anytime soon. Whether your company is just recently migrating to G Suite, or a part of your company is still using Office, or maybe you work with external collaborators who are still using Office files and sending them to you. We know that you're always going to be needing to interoperate with Office files. And we also know, we've heard a lot of feedback, that currently this isn't the best experience. If you have an Office file right now in Drive, you got to go find it, you do the conversion, you check to see if that conversion was error-free, get worried about it, then you make your changes, and then you export that again to another Office file, re-upload that to Drive. Not the most seamless experience. And we know currently it's even more crazy if you're working with another collaborator. You have that one Office file that becomes two Sheets files. You make your separate changes. You convert those back to Office. You reconcile the changes. You put it back in Drive. Not the standard of collaboration that we want you to experience in G Suite. So that's why I'm really excited today that we're changing all of that, introducing Office editing for doc sheets and slides. So now you're going to be able to edit that Office content using the tools that you know in Drive without changing your workflow at all. So when you open an Office file now, rather than getting a converted copy, you're just going to be editing that same file. But you can still continue your workflow. You can add comments just like you're used to. You can share it and collaborate with others, just as you're used to doing in doc sheets and slides. You can even real-time collaborate, bringing that transformative change of G Suite to your Office content. You can use our intelligence features, some of these awesome features like Explore that make G Suite famous. We're bringing all of that to your Office content. All the while, you're still editing the Office file. You don't have to worry about copies, revisions, or changes. It's all happening just as you're used to in Docs, but saved back to Office content. So now to get into the nuances of this feature, we're going to talk about an example company, Ink42. They're a design-conscious stationery company, and they're working together on a new ballpoint pen launch. We're going to be looking at two teams, Laura and her marketing team. They've already migrated to G Suite. They're already used to working in doc sheets and slides. Whereas Trevor and his sales team, they're still using Office tools on Drive. Now in the past, these two silos that would have had trouble working together are going to be able to collaborate, bringing real coexistence among these two different ecosystems when you use Office editing. And we're going to show this to you in a three-part demo. We're going to start with Laura working on an Office file that she received from the sales team. Then we're going to take you to Word, and we're going to see how an Office user can still collaborate on that exact same file and doesn't have to worry about the fact that his collaborators are using Docs. And then we're going to come back to Docs for a wrap-up where you can see the same thing. The Docs user is still using the tools that she knows, but it doesn't matter that her collaborators still use Office. So to get it started, we're going to go to the first demo in Docs. Can we switch to the Chromebook? So now what you see here is Laura, played by our friend Alex, has just gotten the start of the ballpoint pen brief as a Word file in Drive. Now she's going to continue her normal workflow. She's going to go ahead and open it up in Docs. But you're going to notice something different this time. Rather than a converted separate file, you still see the .docx icon. Laura is still editing the same file. If she goes back to Drive, because she wants to see the two copies she just made, nothing's changed. It's still just that same singular Word file. But she can continue her normal workflow. She can go ahead and add in a table. She'll set up the table for the marketing and the sales team to collaborate on the timeline of their launch. She's using the editor she's used to, making the changes that she'd normally do in a docs file, including using spell check and grammar, some of our great intelligence features. And the awesome thing you'll see here is that as Laura's making these changes, she's not going to have to modify her process at all. She's used to collaborating with her team on Docs, so she's going to share in her marketing team, who's also used to using Docs, and they're going to be able to join in and make changes with Laura real time on this Office file. So now you'll see a member of the marketing team join in and collaborate with Laura before they're ready to send this file back to sales to finish it off. So you've just noticed Jonathan join in, real-time collaborating with Laura on the same Office file. And then once Jonathan's done, Laura can do what she'd normally do with any other member of her team who's used to using docs. She's going to plus in Trevor from the sales team so that he can finish the part that's marked for sales. And even though she's plussing in Trevor in the doc, you'll see in the next demo that Trevor's able to open this comment and see all of these changes in Word without modifying his workflow either. Now, if Laura wanted to add any other documents that are related to the ballpoint pen brief, she could go ahead and open Explore and check out Quick Access to see documents that are related to the marketing brief. Or if at any time she wanted to save this file as a Google Doc because they're done with the Office version, she could very easily go to File, Save as Google Docs. And if Laura's used to collaborating offline with her marketing team, she can always make the file available offline, and when she comes back online, all those changes will be synced back to the Office file. So her team can still use G Suite offline just as they're used to doing, but now it's all on an Office file. So now I'll have Alex give us a recap of what we just saw.
So what did we just see? Well, we saw Laura's workflow, and we saw, most importantly, how it was virtually unchanged. She opened the file in the editor that she uses every day, except this time it was an Office file. Her edits didn't maintain the file format, didn't create a copy or convert to a different document. She was able to add comments, and we'll see how those comments are actually written to the file for any Office users to see as well. She's able to real-time collaborate with anyone who uses Docs as well, use Explorer, Intelligence, and she could even mark the file offline if she wants to. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter for Laura that the file's in a different file format. Different file format, same exact workflow. That's the kind of powerful new way of working that we want to deliver in G Suite. All right, so let's step back a little bit. We've seen Laura's workflow, and more generally, the marketing team's workflow when they work in Docs. But what about the other side? What about the sales team? We know they work in Office. So Trevor and the sales team, more generally, their workflow is navigate to Windows Explorer, find draw file stream, find their files locally on their machine, open them directly into Word, make their changes in Word, and then save their changes. The changes are then saved locally and then uploaded to Drive as a new version. That's their classic workflow. Well, because Laura's changes, and more broadly the marketing team changes, are all saved down to the Office file, the one Office file that they share together, Trevor's going to be able to do the exact same thing. He's going to be able to open the file, he's going to open an Office, he's going to see all the changes made by Laura and the marketing team, including the comment that was made by Laura and where his name is mentioned, and he'll be able to edit the document in Word, reply to the comment, and save his changes. Once again here, it's the exact same workflow. So let's take a look in our second demo. So now we're Trevor, as Luke, who is going to navigate to Drive file stream, and then navigate to the folder that contains the document. Double-click it, which is going to open in Microsoft Word. As you can see, there was only one document. And then when he opens it in Word, all the changes are here. The changes made by all the collaborators in Docs. He can fill out the table, as he's been instructed by Laura. He can also respond to the comment, telling her he's all done, the changes are in. And then after that, he'll be able to just save the file. Again, the changes will be saved locally by Drive file stream and then uploaded to the latest version in Drive. That's as simple as that. Can we switch back to the slides, please? All right, so once again here, we saw Trevor's workflow to respond in Office. He was able to access the file locally, only finding one single version in Drive with all the changes, including the changes made by Docs users, and he was able to reply to comments. Once again here, different collaborators, different tools that they would use, doesn't matter for Trevor. Same exact workflow. Now there's more we want to talk about. Historically, we know that one of the concerns with working with Office content in Docs was the ability to retain some of the original Office content. So we've added original content preservation. With original content preservation, you'll be able to preserve some of the key content of your file, even though it cannot be loaded in the editor. You can see here a notorious example with macros in Excel. Macros used to be dropped from the file when you converted in Google Sheets. But with Office editing for Google Sheets, you'll be able to edit the file as an Excel file, saving your changes down to the file and preserving the macro. This way, any user who accesses this file through draft file stream or any user you email the file to and who opens the file in Excel, just like Trevor here, for example, would be able to see the macro and execute it. We've also added more content transparency. In case there's still some incompatible content that we're not able to preserve or load in the editor, we've added a warning system to let users know of content that would be dropped. This way, users know when it's safe to edit. This was a big request from our customers. And then finally, we've also added version history. Version history is a feature that our users love in Docs, and we're bringing now to Office content as well. You'll be able to open the version history pane and see all the different versions, including the granular edits made by all the Docs users and all the version uploaded by Office users. So let's take a look at that last point real quickly, and let's go to our final demo on the Chromebook. All right, so now we're back on Lara's machine, and we see that there was still only one version in Drive. When Lara opened the file, she'll be able to scroll down and see all the changes, including the changes made by Trevor in Office and the comment he responded to. She'll be able to herself respond to the comment and resolve. And now she's done. If she wants to review the versions, as we've talked about, she can open the version history pane, see the original version uploaded by Trevor, see the changes made by herself when she added the table, and then by Jonathan when he filled in the table. And then finally, the latest version uploaded by Trevor, who contains the full table. Pretty powerful. Let's switch back to the presentation, please. All right, so this concludes our 3 demo and our presentation of Office editing for Google Docs, Sheets, and Slide. We hope you're as excited as we are about the feature. As you can see, users will be able to open files directly in Docs, maintaining the file format, add comments written to the file, real-time collaborate, use all our intelligence and machine learning features, work offline when they have to, preserve key content, and view version history. We're very excited to announce this feature at Next. It will be actually available this month. The rollout will start next week. And if your domain is in a scheduled release domain, you'll have to wait a couple more weeks after that to get the feature. And I'd like to leave you with some of our quotes from our top customers who've been testing out the features for a while. PricewaterhouseCoopers thinks this feature is absolutely critical. It will be a huge win for teams who need to work with Office documents. And then Veolia, one of our largest customers in Europe, thinks Office editing will make sure Office licenses are no longer needed and encourage the deployment of Chromebooks. And with that, I will pass it back to Luke to talk about part number 2, how Docs work with non-Google accounts.
All right, so you just saw some really incredible new capabilities for working with Office files, but let's continue the story with Laura and think about how we can make it easier to work with Docs, Sheets, and Slides when you're working with external collaborators who don't have a Google account. So the scenario here is that Laura has hired an external firm to do some copywriting work for her team. But the issue is that the contractor doesn't have a Google account. They haven't yet adopted G Suite. So in the past, what Laura would have had to do is either create a temporary Gmail account for that user, which isn't the most secure or the most seamless collaboration, or Laura would have had to overshare the file, make it publicly editable so that someone without a Google account can edit, but then that compromises the security of her important business documents. So now we're really excited to announce in beta visitor sharing. So with visitor sharing, Laura will no longer have to think about whether or not someone that she's collaborating with has a Google account. She'll just share like she's used to, and then if the person happens to not have a Google account, they'll receive a PIN code to their email, works with whatever email system they're already using, and they'll be able to log into Google with that PIN code and then just start collaborating on the document as if they were a Google user. So it makes it seamless for Laura because she doesn't have to think about it, and it makes it seamless for the non-Google user because they don't have to go through any sort of sign up or use a non-managed account platform. What's really cool is that visitor sharing works just like any other Google account. They can real-time collaborate, work together, just as both parties are used to doing. But then, for Laura's admin, they have the peace of mind that documents aren't being overshared so that external folks can collaborate in the same way as internal people on G Suite. And visitor accounts are just like Google accounts, So the admin knows that the right people are in any given document. There aren't these miscellaneous Gmail accounts in there or these overshared documents. It increases everyone's peace of mind, it makes workflows more seamless, and it's another way that Docs is really meeting you where you are. You don't have to change your partner's account systems in order to work with G Suite. So now, to talk about the third way that Docs is meeting you with you are, when working on a content provider outside of Drive, I'll give it back to Alex.
Thank you. All right, so as we talked about earlier in the introduction, in the Docs team, we want to make sure you can experience the transformative impact of the editors while staying productive in the content provider of your choice. So we worked really hard with several third-party partners, which we're very excited to have with us today to talk to you on stage directly, to bring to you Box for G Suite, Dropbox for G Suite, and Ignite for G Suite. So I'll give you a quick overview of the integration, and then I'll let our partners do the hard work. All right, so at a high level, the integration is pretty straightforward. The goal is to let your users use doc sheets inside in the content provider of your choice. You can see here an example of Box for G Suite, where we've added Google Docs Sheets and Slide in the Create flow. So users will be able to create their content and store it in Box. If you do have existing content that we support, for example, Office formats, well, you'll also be able to use Doc Sheets and Slide to edit your Office content, wherever it is. Another key aspect of the integration is allowing you to use the full power of collaboration of Google Docs, including real-time collaboration, but also maintaining the sharing and permissioning system of the content provider you're using. So you can see here, this is an example with Dropbox for G Suite. We have Dropbox sharing dialog on top of a Google Docs document. And then finally, another key aspect of the integration is the ability to maintain the security and compliance features of the content provider you're using. An example here with Ignite for G Suite. So we are very excited to have Box already generally available as of end of last year, and have Dropbox for G Suite and Ignite for G Suite currently in beta. Now, to talk about Box for G Suite, I'd like to invite Michelle to join me on stage.
So at Box, our mission is to power how the world works together. Box is a content cloud management system that helps you secure and centralize all of your content in the cloud. Now, most of you may be familiar with our collaboration capabilities, but we also bring intelligence and automation to your content by being able to leverage leading ML technology providers like Google Cloud, and also automate your business processes and workflows with native applications like Box Relay. And on top of that, Box is built security and privacy first. But let's double click and actually see what that means from a product perspective. So in the middle here, you'll see that at its core, Box manages all of your content and enables metadata, collaboration, workflow, and intelligence. But the foundation of that, below that, is actually a foundational layer of enterprise-grade security and compliance that enables users to be able to use all of those features safely in the cloud. We have compliance like FINRA, GXP, FedRAMP, which allows our highly regulated customers to be able to use the cloud safely. And on top of that, we have enterprise-grade advanced security features like data residency solutions, key management, as well as retention policies. And wrapping all of that content together, we actually wrap them in APIs and expose them so that you're able to actually access all of that content securely via APIs. So our Box native applications are built on that, so you can access your content in desktop or mobile or through native applications like Box Relay, our workflow engine. We also integrate with over 1,400 integrations, so you can use that content securely across your best-of-breed tech stack. Or if you're an enterprise that wants to build a custom application, we've had customers build customer client portals on top of Box, in addition to mobile apps for their field workers. So today, we have over 90,000 customers who are leveraging Box platform, and over 70% of the Fortune 500. We have a diverse range of customers from highly regulated industries like the federal government to companies of all sizes like Coca-Cola and Spotify. And the Box and Google partnership enables us to partner to transform the way organizations collaborate and do work in the cloud. We've been partnering for years and have delivered a joint roadmap. We've delivered integrations with Doc Sheets and Slides, Hangouts, Chat, Gmail, and just announced yesterday, Google Calendar. And on top of that, we also partner with Google ML to bring that intelligence to your content in Box. So today I'll be talking to you about Box for G Suite, which is bringing that doc sheets and slides experience directly into Box. With Box for G Suite, we have all of the rich real-time capabilities of doc sheets and slides, but all of that content is securely secured and managed in Box. And so what that enables is you allow to have secure central content management, but still be able to maintain enterprise-level standards of security and compliance that your enterprise may require. So let's see how this works in action. So for those of you not as familiar with Box, this is our primary user interface where a user will see all of their files and folders. And from here on the right-hand side, this is how you create documents in Box. If we click New, you'll see that Box is the only content cloud management provider that natively integrates with all three major productivity suites. From here, you can create new Microsoft Office documents, Apple iWork documents, and now new Google G Suite documents. So from here, you can create a new Google Doc sheet or slide, but it will be securely saved and managed back into Box. So for the demo, I've created a few assets here already, and so I'm going to go ahead and click into our beta product spec, which is a Google document. And you can see that it pulls it up in Box Preview, where you can get a good glance of the document, see all the different comments and comments that have happened. If I wanted to go into real-time editing, I can click here to actually launch into the editor for those real-time editing capabilities. And Box Preview supports over 140 different file types, which include now doc sheets and slides, among many others. And you can also see here that this document has been tagged confidential using Box's content classification features. So what this has done is it actually adds an extra layer of security policies that our admin has defined to be able to make sure that this content is protected both inside and outside of the enterprise. But because the theme of this session is about editing Office documents with G Suite, let me show you how that experience works with this integration. So if I go back here, I'll go into my beta tracker document, which is an Office Excel file. And from here, we can see that because Box natively integrates with all major productivity suites, I can actually have user choice of which editor I'd want to edit with, right from with here. I can either edit on my desktop application, either on my online browsers, or for this case, I'd like to actually edit this Office document within Google Sheets. So I'll go ahead and launch that. And what this is doing is it's ensuring a secure enterprise-to-enterprise connection between my Box account and my G Suite account. So similar to the experience that we saw in Drive, we can see here that it's denoted with a .xlsx to show that we're still in a Microsoft Excel file, but you'd still get all those rich capabilities that are available within the Google editors. So I'll go ahead and comment here to tell my colleague Peggy that, wow, this NPS score is super low. She should look into this. So, oops. Can you look into? And I'll assign that task to Peggy. Oh, not used to using Windows machines these days. And then on top of that, I can see my colleague Tracy has actually left a comment for me that says, hey, how many users do we have in beta? So similarly, because this is a Google editor, I'm able to take advantage of all those rich features that our colleagues just mentioned, one of my favorites being Sheets Explorer. So I can actually go here without having to type without any formulas to say, how many users in beta? And with that, I get my answer, about 6,200, so I can go ahead and reply to Tracy. And you'll see here that, during my demo that actually Tracy and Peggy have both entered into the document, and you can see them clicking around to show, again, that real-time collaboration in the G Suite experience. And so, but with my changes, you can see that, the biggest change here is this sentence right here, which I think represents the essence of the Box for G Suite integration, which is all changes are saved in Box. And so from here, you can see that here we have the exact same G Suite editing experience, but actually this file is being saved and stored in Box as a content provider, which allows companies to be able to keep all of that enterprise-grade security and compliance that they require of their documents in Box. And then if we were to go back now into our box preview, you can see that if we refresh it to capture all of those changes. And similarly, when I go into my version history, I can see that it's being saved back as its original file format, back as an Office file. And so you will always have that single source of truth while working on this document, and the user will always have user choice in terms of what editor they want to be able to edit, all from one place. And so with the Box for G Suite integration, you get the best of both worlds, where you have the rich editing capabilities, collaboration, and real-time capabilities of G Suite, but are able to maintain your enterprise-grade security and compliance on the back end with Box. Great. So as Alex mentioned, we're very excited that this integration is available today. We have hundreds of customers using the integration, and we found the most value from customers that are working with highly sensitive data, like customer financial data, for example. So in the spirit of tax season, I hope all of you remember to do your taxes. Let's hear from our friends at Intuit.
Before we started using Box for G Suite, we had content in multiple locations.
We had a lot of siloed solutions.
Box for G Suite has allowed us to enable our global workforce to pick the right tools for collaboration, but also have all the information in one place, so it's easy to find, it's easy to govern, and it's easy to manage.
So as I mentioned, the Box for G Suite integration is available now. If you're already a Box customer, it's as easy as enabling it in the Box admin console, or if you'd like to see more information, please feel free to check out our website.
I wanted to start by just giving everyone a sense of Dropbox's evolution through the years and our proliferation into the enterprise. So Dropbox started a bit over a decade ago, and it started with this belief that everything would be better if people could have their most important content in the cloud. That might seem quaint now because it's more than a decade later and hundreds of millions of users have signed up for Dropbox and obviously agree with that. And in the process of doing that, they brought us into millions of businesses. And when they did that, what they came to realize was, yes, of course having their content in the cloud is critical, but that's not just it. They worked on it with other people, and so ultimately it was the sharing and the collaboration that became the thing that they truly valued. And so over time, we've shifted our focus from not just keeping files in sync, but to keeping teams in sync. And a critical part about that is working with the millions of different applications that people use, and in particular, the best of breed applications. And of course, Google is undeniably a best of breed application. So talk about things like Gmail, which congrats to them, just reached 15 years earlier this week. I've personally been using it over a decade, and it's amazing. And Dropbox last year here at Google Next launched our Gmail add-on that makes it seamless to work with content across Dropbox and Gmail. Just a few days ago, we launched our integration with Google Cloud Identity that makes it seamless for admins of G Suite to manage and provision across both. And we're so excited to be here today to talk about what we're doing with doc sheets and slides. So let's explain a little bit of what that's like. What you are seeing here is a Google Slides presentation that is stored in Dropbox. It is a truly best of both worlds situation. So you can create them, you can edit them, and critically, you can seamlessly share them. So what you're seeing here is that someone clicked that share button in the upper right. So in the foreground, you have Dropbox's powerful sharing. This is inside of a team folder at a fictional company called Peppo Studio Inc. And so everyone there has edit access. Of course, they could change that to be view. As you can see next to it, there's the drop down. Additionally, it is trivial to share it with additional people. So for example, Anne at Hadford Inc. is an outside consultant that I want to take a look at it. I can add her, and she can view it. Maybe I want Michelle, also at Hadford Inc., to be able to edit it and can give that permission. Anywhere in that hierarchy of that contained folder, I can add more people with either edit or view permission. I can also go ahead and restrict the ACLs. So full permissioning the whole way through. Of course, that's for specific people, but sometimes you want something even more convenient, and that's not a problem at all. Let's say you're just having a group chat to work on this, and you want to just be able to have everyone have edit access to it. Easy. Go ahead and grab an edit link. You can put it in that group message that you're having. Everyone can jump in and collaborate with you. And then later, maybe you want to share out to everybody, you can simultaneously have a view link. Go ahead and create one of those, maybe put it in an email to the whole business. So that gives you a sense of what the integration is like, but what does that really mean for a business? Well, earlier this week, we launched an open beta, and I'll tell you a little bit more at the end, so that for anyone here who has Dropbox Business, they can try it out. But we've had a closed beta before that, and I'd like to invite Shaun Nandi, the CIO of Dow Jones, onto the stage to talk about what that experience has been like for them. What has the experience been like as the CIO of Dow Jones and the head of North America IT? How do you work through the situation that you just have tens of thousands, sorry, I got ahead of myself there, maybe one day, tens of thousands of employees who want to bring in their own tools. There's this proliferation of best of breed tools. How do you work through that?
Yeah, so I'll give a minute of background that'll sort of give the context. For those who don't know Dow Jones, we're a pretty large multinational. We have about 5,000 employees. We publish the Wall Street Journal. We have a bunch of B2B products, been around for well over 100 years. And we're part of News Corp, much larger entity, operates worldwide as well. And one of our pain points was how we collaborate both within our company, but also across all the business units and with our third-party partners. News Corp and Dow Jones have been G Suite customers since 2013, very passionate, love G Suite. And we were one of Dropbox's early enterprise customers, I think back in 2015 or so. We picked Dropbox because we wanted a secure, sort of safe way to be able to share files, not just internally, but externally as well. So one of our pain points, I've really been feeling it as someone who gets to work with sort of everyone at some point, is what do I do when I have lots of different file types? And that's pretty common. I'll give an example from this week. I just signed a deal for Google Voice. Yeah, Google, it's really cool. But to do that, we had to share a bunch of PDFs. We had to work with external counsel. We had to work with our partner. We had to work with Google. Everyone in my team works in G Suite, right? We work with files in G Suite, but some of those third parties don't. And before, I'd be sharing one of the files in Dropbox, maybe emailing something, of course, sharing with Google within G Suite with permissions, but it meant that I had this sort of fragmented experience. And to be honest, my users, especially the non-tech folks, would get confused. And what was really cool this week was we were able to do that with this new feature, just drop everything into one Dropbox folder, have our G Suite documents there, have the PDFs, have some of the marketing material, this comms quote, and it just worked very painlessly. That really matters to us. And when I wanted to go and have the third-party outside counsel come in, they are not a G Suite shop. To them, we just shared the Dropbox folder. It was really cool.
Yeah, and so for you, from an end user perspective, you think about employees in your business, like what really stands out for them?
Yeah, look, I think the pain point for end users is they want a single experience. So again, for my tech teams, we don't mind jumping through a couple tools. We always want to use best of breed, do it our own way. We need to give them a very simplistic answer. If you're working with this type of person, here's how you do it. And from a security perspective, we want really tight guardrails. We want to know that you're not doing very public external sharing. We have scans for that. Our admin teams are always looking at overshared content. Dropbox has been really good about that. It's been confusing for them when they're working with third parties to have sort of these two interfaces. What if they are a Google company? What if they're not? How does it work? And even internally, because a couple of our business units, shame on them, are not yet G Suite customers, right? We want to work with them just as seamlessly. So this has been a pretty easy answer.
Thanks so much.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So Ignite is a content collaboration platform that was built with business-first architecture in mind to help modernize your legacy IT systems and bring them out into the cloud. We have over 100 plus integration partners, and Google being one of our most important integration partners, and this new G Suite integration being one that our customers are extremely excited about. We have over 15,000 customers. Every single one of our customers are paid customers, and we're happy to call some of these logos like Red Bull, BuzzFeed, and Fender our customers. So what we see in industry is really this tension between what the users want and what the IT admins want, which is security, right? And there's really like a push and pull between the two, and we see this Also, in extremely highly regulated industries like financial services, where Ignite does really well in. We have over 3,000 financial service customers, and what we want to go through today is to kind of see both sides of the coin of what the user goes through and then what the admin goes through. So with this new integration, it really gives the user the best collaboration tools that they want to use. And so in this user flow, what we're going to do is we're going to see Stuart here get an email from Gmail and then be able to download that directly into Ignite. Now, once you're in Ignite, then you can use this new G Suite integration and use it to collaborate, use it to co-author, and also to make comments with people inside and outside of your organization. But most of this, and all this is saved within Ignite, right? And this integration is pretty much similar to the ones that you saw earlier in this presentation, but where Ignite really shines is on the other side of the coin, right? As an admin, because now the admins can rest easy and they can know that the compliance and governance is taken care of by Ignite. So we'll make sure that the data is immutable, make sure that all the data is discoverable, and then also allow you to set your retention policies. So you can either have it be 30 days, 3 years, or 7 years, or any custom policy that you want. We also provide an easy audit trail report, so you know who logs into the system, who edits the files, who makes any changes or creates those files. And all this is put together with our enterprise-grade security policies, which allows you to one-click set, for example, if you're in the EU, set the system up for that you want to follow GDPR, or if you have any local or state regulations that you need to follow. On top of that, our Ignite Protect product allows you to identify and classify that data. So for example, in this situation, once that document is in Ignite, we can analyze it and let you know that it was a bank account or a social security number or any PII or PHI information on that document, and then you can deal with that with your security policies. We also have access control. So for example, if you have a user that all of a sudden one day starts downloading thousands and thousands of these bank documents, you'll be notified as an admin right away and then give you a chance to disable that user account so that they can't cause any more damage if they have that data. All this in a big dashboard so that you can see the system, your entire system health. To conclude, Ignite was built specifically for business. And with this new G Suite integration, we're really excited to provide this collaboration software to our customers like NASDAQ and NFP and highly regulated financial services industry. But we see that this issue is not just for highly regulated industries. We've been seeing that more and more of our customers need these kind of controls, and we see this in the media and entertainment industry, we see this in construction, and we see this in retail.